CERN. So there is talk of CERN starting back up on July the 5th of 2022. And I've been reading a lot of comments saying, Gina, what do you think about CERN opening back up? And I really hadn't given it much thought at all. I haven't. I read about CERN years and years ago, and you read it so much, you look into it so much, and then it just gets old. But I don't think it's innocent. I think they've probably done something already. I really do. And there's talk of them opening more portals. They can create a portal, a gateway to other dimensions. There's even talk about have they opened up a parallel world, because that's one thing they did want. They wanted to, come in contact with a parallel world so they can learn from it. Did they learn? I don't know, you all, but I want to look a little bit into it since it's a big topic. It's an enormous topic. It's not about the observatories tonight. Hello, you all. Thank you for tuning in. Let me come over here. Let me close that out. Let me put this right here. So let's look at some images of CERN. Right here, you see Shiva, the destroyer. And there was something that had occurred, I forget in which country, like a stone or something, some kind of a statue, an ancient like statue had broken into, something had broken into some kind of rock or something, and it was a harbinger of doom. That's how the story went. But look at some of these images of CERN, and it's enormous. They've got, what's that image? Playing with 300 terabytes of public large hadron collider. Yeah. Hello there, Apple Brooks. Hello, everyone. So let's look at this. We're right here looking at them. They're celebrating the on-site Open Lab Summer Student Lecture. And, that's pretty neat. CERN scientists find evidence that the universe should not exist. Now, why shouldn't the universe exist? I have no idea. But, yeah, there's like, oh, my gosh, Yeti the monster. Right here. They have some strange-looking things. They do, but that's how big it looks. It's got all these wires and all of this kind of stuff and all of that. But listen, so look at this article right here. Sorry, but we accidentally ended the world in 2012, admits CERN. Scientists at the European Organization of Nuclear Research have admitted today to ending the world as we know it back in 2012. While performing experiments into the Higgs boson particle. Yeah. So this was like a conspiracy thing, so they say, in July of 2012. They did do an experiment, and I think it was on July the 4th, and they were so very, very happy that they did that experiment. They were. Let's look at this. This is where you go to speculation. The experiment, for whatever reason, caused our reality universe to collapse and fall into an accelerated entropy. And those in power flipped the switch to start the simulation back up. This is right here, you all. This is really strange. This is the World Economic Forum, and this is from 2016, September the 7th. And I just want to warn you that they got an inappropriate word in here. They do. And you may be surprised to see it worded in here, used at this World Economic Forum. Let me put this in here. I like to put the links just so we can have future references in the description. So if you ever see it, you know that, hey, Gina put it in there. I'm going to put this very search that I did in here also. We're going to cover all our tracks. Let's put it up there at the top because that is where we started, right there. And images of CERN. We're going to put it all there, is what we're going to do. I'm going to put it up here since the images were kind of the first ones, and you all can have all those links to look at right there. They're in the description. So welcome. So this is the World Economic Forum back in September the 7th of 2016. So you have all these physicists. Look at them. They're looking up. What are they looking up at? The Director General. 4 years after the discovery of the particle, the world's biggest scientific experiment is still seeking to unlock the mysteries of the universe. On the outskirts of Geneva, CERN is there. Despite the jubilation in the physics community when the Higgs was detected in 2012 and public relief, the experiment did not suck the whole world into a gaping wormhole. There remains a lot to discover. There was something interesting that I also saw about this. Remember when we was reading this this article or this story from after the World War II, this scientist or something in Russia, they started this experiment. What did she do that? It's like she used this healing, what was that, a healing sarcophagus? Healing sarcophagus. And they had this thing like a Stargate that they would go to, but it was back in 1952, shortly after the World War. And I read today that that is when CERN did its first experiment back in 1952, when the doors officially opened at CERN. And I'm thinking, that sounds really strange because that Russian woman that we read about, and the finding of the little what's that, whatever that was, like a Stargate thing. I think they could push the dial and they could go somewhere, and all of that was also in 1952. So really, was there truth to that? Because it sounded really very bizarre, and it sounds bizarre that reading that CERN had its first doors open back in 52. Yeah. So let's look at this, you all. Oh, that's me, you all. Let's look at this. So this is This is titled 7 Things You Didn't Know, and I guess this is from the World Economic Forum, and I'm going to tell you right now. You're probably going to be shocked if you have not looked at this article about the language that is used therein, but this is theirs. It is. We're going to read it. So 7 things you didn't know. 95% of the universe is still unknown, according to the staff at the World Economic Forum. They are driven by a shared passion for knowledge. So they're going to, do their things. As the Romanian flag is raised for the first time this week to mark the arrival of CERN's 22nd member state. So this is from 2016. Number 1, the Large Hadron Collider is colder than outer space. It is a 1.9 K, negative 271.3 degrees Celsius, almost absolute zero. A cryogenic cooling system keeps it this frigid for the sake of the superconductor electromagnets which spin proton beams hurtling towards one another in a loop 100 meters below ground. So that's the one thing right there. It's a set of gargantuan detectors that crunch data from 40 million collisions a second, the Higgs boson. So this is but this is really strange. Look at this. Look at the wording, you all. I am sorry. I apologize. I didn't write this, and I am shocked. I just want to say I am shocked that they felt the need to even write that in there like that, you all. I'm thinking, why? It's a little insensitive. It is insensitive, no matter how you look at it. Perhaps they thought it was humorous, but I don't find any humor in it. I really don't. It's quite offensive, regardless. The Higgs boson isn't the God particle, it's the particle. Before the discovery of the Higgs on July the 4th of 2012, they celebrated it, okay? Physicists had a theory about no proof to explain how elementary particles like electrons and quarks got their mass. Such was the frustration of a Nobel Prize-winning physicist who wanted to title his book, The GD Particle. If the universe is the answer, what is the question? Sensing this to be too controversial, his publisher switched it to the God particle, which in itself has irked those who believe that religion and science are separate spheres. Okay, so we're not going to look at that. So you can look at that in here, you all, because we've got the link here. The Higgs boson is unlikely to prove or disprove the existence of God. Okay. 3, we are still at least 95% ignorant. Ignorant is not knowing. It is. And stupidity is knowing, but not even using what you know. So the theory of relativity, the World Wide Web was born at CERN. Now, how could that be? But it did. 1989, the World Wide Web was born at CERN. There have always been forces to try to control the internet. CERN costs the equivalent of a cappuccino a year per European. So I'm sure it's costs more than that, you all. What's that? What, this is so silly. Geeks, intriguing businesses, the world's biggest experiment can be stopped by weasels. So this is, see, this is like a, yeah, that's not a good article. It's not, but you know what? This right here, I was sitting there thinking about this, and did they, like this one right here, CERN researchers apologize for the destruction of 5 parallel universes. And I think the onion is like a sarcastic type of a thing right there. CERN and Bible prophecy, and Stephen King destroying the universe. And look at this from Gaia. Is the Mandela effect evidence of CERN creating parallel dimensions? The concept of Mandela effect is simple. Over a time, a few minor details surrounding significant events, and therefore our perception of these events, might somehow change and may continue to improve in the years ahead. In other words, the tried and true space-time continuum. I don't know what they said about it, but while I was looking at that, I thought, you know how it literally does feel like the world got turned upside down. It really does. And I'm wondering that, we've all been told that, we didn't remember. We have gaps in our memories when we say, well, I remember something being a certain way, and they have dismissed it as gaps in your memory. But when did these gaps first appear? Did you encounter any significant changes in your life around the 2016 time frame? Did you? 2016 is what I'm asking. Around that time frame in history, right there. Because I read something about that, about the 2016, that if they did, then it literally had created a Mandela effect where everyone felt it in some way. People's reality was jolted. Okay. And they also said, I think, that we got shifted. They somehow shifted us into a parallel world. Now, this is the thing I was thinking about. You know how there is a prophecy, an apocalyptic book, where they said wrong will become right and right will become wrong. Remember that? And that would make perfect sense if we have literally flipped over into a parallel world where we are living the complete opposites, more or less. Wrong is right and right is wrong. It's like Alice in Wonderland, how she goes and she's upside down in this world. Do you think that was a clue to like maybe a parallel world, a parallel universe, a multiverse, something like that? Because, yeah, but 2016 was a timestamp that I read, and I'm not going to say what else they said about that timestamp, but they admitted that whether it was satire or not, that people around the world felt the jolt because they actually kind of collided with that parallel earth, and boom, we're in that parallel earth now. Yeah. That's right. That's right, you all. Because we've seen a lot of strange things happen. I had event too. See, we've all had events that happened, and they kind of like jolted our world. It really did. Like threw us for a loop. So they in this one thing on here, they said that they said it was satire when they said, "Oh, we destroyed 5 parallel worlds like ours, so 5 versions of you got destroyed permanently." And that's what they said. Now, that is a theory. It is. You could there could be multiple copies of you somewhere. Not to mention, people do see doppelgangers, ganglers, or whatever you want to call it. People that look like you on this earth. You think they're living like that too? More copies of you on this earth also? Something like that? Yeah. It's our collective that moves. See, and with that Nelson Mandela, I really did. I remembered when I was young, he died. And I remember him being in prison, and he died. And they said, no, he didn't. He died, and whatever, they changed the timestamp and all this other kind of stuff. But I think they said there was a major shift in 2016 that I don't know when all these Mandela effects started coming out in the open, when they first started noticing it, and all the things that started to get changed. And they just say, oh, it's a lapse in your memory. Why you got to tell us it's a lapse in our memory? When we do remember that, and if we are stuck in a parallel world, then our memories are from the world that we were in, and now we're stuck in this parallel world, this other earth, with our memories from the earth that they destroyed somehow. That sounds weird. I know it sounds very weird, but CERN is up to things, and I think they're playing with fire. They're playing with dark matter is what they're playing with, and unpredictable things. Yeah. Timeline adjustments. Terry, honey, thank you. That's right. We are stuck here now. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they mess with the timelines. And have you ever found yourself doing something totally out of character, and you're sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, did I just do that? Did I just say that? That's not me. But it is you now. If we truly are in a different world, that's you now. That's the other part of you stuck with the one part of you, and you're like living the same life. Yeah. Like that. Deja vu. That's right. Deja vu. Spiritual AK. Yeah, a deja vu. You done it before. That would explain a lot of things. It really would. Well, there's a lot of things in this life that we don't have any say in. There's a lot of things in this life that we have no control over. But there are some things that we do, and we just need to have the wisdom to know the difference between the two. Because we can make a difference in certain areas. We can. Yeah. CERN after tomorrow. Don't drink tomorrow. Yes, it could be that you are reincarnated, that you've done this before. You've been told exactly what you was going to do before you came here. You could say that also. Yeah, that is a theory. Yeah. Yeah. That, to be such a warm, yeah, I read that too, which you just now spoke of. I did. I read it um, about CERN. And there are people who have concerns that come the 5th of July that CERN's going to open something and something's going to come through, or a great big bunch of something, and cause great change. They do. And we how would we even know? I'm sure if something terrible happened, we would know sooner or later. We really would. Christine Mott, honey, what you doing? Yeah. Locusts from the pits, and then I read something how they said they wanted to open up a gate or something where Apollo or Apollon was. Apollon, where he, buried in the pits or something like that. Yeah. I'm sure they have the technology, and if you think about it, colder than space inside of there. What darkness? Because you ever hear that if you are somewhere and you feel like this cold, cold air blowing on you, it's like a spirit or something. It's cold, cold, cold. Yeah. It's going to rain. Yeah, you are. So we was just looking at CERN, and what if we did get stuck in a parallel dimension, and they're not admitting it. They're not admitting it. Well, we do have insane things that do not make sense. We have unpredictable weather. And of course, they've got all kinds of movies out there too, you all. See, this was this was strange right here. Listen to this, and I think this is supposed to be satire right here. They apologize for the destruction of 5 parallel universes in recent experiment. But is it just satire? At the European Union Nuclear Research, we're sorry to report that in conducting research involving high-powered proton-proton collisions, we inadvertently caused the implosion of 5 universes nearly identical to our own. Fabiola Gionati, adding that billions of people worldwide might have experienced momentary vertigo around 9:45 a.m. as a result of several of their alternate identities being wiped from existence. Yeah, so that sounded really weird. It really did. But they do have the strange ceremonies at CERN. They do. See, like this looks kind of strange. No, 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 no. You all, we are not looking into that. We're not. Yeah, they have strange ceremonies there, really wild-looking ceremonies, and all of that kind of stuff. So I guess we'll just have to see what they're going to do, even if they announce everything that they are going to do. I think there's going to be some things, some experiments that are ran that we're not going to know anything about, that will not make it out into the to public knowledge. But I'm sure they'll have a ceremony, an opening ceremony for it, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of prominent people there, really. But I am going to go, you all. So yeah, it is something important to talk about, because they have the capability to cause great change on this earth, and that change affects us as well. It does. So thank you all so much for tuning in, and thank you for your comments, because your comments do make a difference. People like to know what you know. They do. They like to read. I like to read what you write too. Even though some of it is against me, I still like to read it. I do. Sometimes I like to laugh. But there is a lot of knowledge in the comments. 90% of the comments have a lot of information in them, and I want to thank you all for contributing like that. So with that being said, hello, wherever you are in any part of the world. Hello. From my heart to yours, love you. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and thank you all once again, and thank you, Apple Brooks. If there's any other moderators on here, thank you. Good night.